Hello. I am going to do another weekly reading vlog, but I think most of you are probably here to watch a specific thing, but I do just want to say I just finished this book, which is a thriller. It's called Yes, Daddy. I was gifted this on my birthday by my friend, and this is probably the book I finished the fastest all year. This was very, very good. I almost gave this 5 stars. It was so good. I gave it a 4, but this was incredible. So good. But what I'm sure most of you are here for is because it is time. I am going to do my best to make a full-on spoiler-filled vlog for the remaining books in the Vampire Academy series. The TV show is out, and I have not allowed myself to watch. I think I've watched the trailer. I have not watched any of the show because I have to do this vlog. I have to do this vlog first. I think I maybe have seen reviews for the show, but so I already have a spoiler-filled review for the first book and the second book. And now I've been wanting to do a spoiler-filled review for the third one forever, but what I'm gonna do is what I did in my Heroes of Olympus vlog, which was I just talked about what I had read up until that point, and then I just continued to read. And I'm pretty sure I should be able to, I'm gonna just check them all out right now. The audiobooks, because if I can just go back and forth between physical and audio, I will be able to do this hopefully within a week and a half-ish. So, yikes, these audiobooks have that's crazy. I was literally just looking like a week or two ago at how long the hold was for the audiobooks, and it was way shorter than this. Okay, but I'm still gonna, because sometimes these holds be taking way less time than they say. So okay, that's 4. And then 5 and 6 are already ready. Damn. I'm just gonna borrow 5 and 6 in the hopes that they come through. Okay, well this way, if I want to just read the 4th one and then read the 5th and 6th right away, that'll be fine. I'll be good. So I'm about to pull up my notes from, I don't even know how long ago. We're gonna be keeping things very informal here. So I'm going to be drinking a protein shake while we're at it because I'm such a broski. Says someone who just finished a book called Yes, Daddy. Such a broski. So, I don't even know how long it's been since I read the 3rd book, but a very long time. It's been months, for sure months. But I still remember how this book ends. Because we've got Rose, we've got Dimitri, and then, I remember that they're all of them get attacked, and then Dimitri ends up turning into a Strigoi. And the last sentence of this book is that she's gonna be on her way off to kill the man she loves. It literally says, yeah, I set off to kill the man I love. And I have been dying since I finished this and not allowing myself to continue the series for dumbass reasons. I don't know. But Dimitri, a Strigoi, are you kidding me? I thought we'd had enough with Mason's death in book 2, but then she still found a way. Miss Mead still found a way to just, ooh, man, okay. But let's talk about everything before that, because that's a good ass cliffhanger. Okay, also, throughout this whole book, we have Rose. She can see Mason's spirit the entire book. And then the whole time I'm just like, is that real or not? And then there's all these wards up around the, I don't know what it's called. There are all these wards held up around the place they're studied, the school, the academy. We're not at the academy though in the 3rd book. I don't think they're in the academy. Wherever they are, there's all these wards, but they're being they're coming down. The wards are coming down. And I think it was this book when we find out all the stuff that happens about, they talk about first, primary sources and secondary sources about the history, and Vladimir and how he had an assistant and the assistant went crazy, and it was okay, well did she go crazy because what happened with I can't remember the words. See, this is why this is such a problem. This is why the 4th, 5th, and 6th books I'm gonna hopefully be able to have a lot more coherent thoughts here. But also Adrian is, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if it was this book or the 2nd book. He's so invasive. And I still remember feeling why can't he just let Rose have a fucking moment to herself? Apparently I wrote down that Rose was assigned to Christian, which I appreciated that. I remember thinking that was a good way to have Rose and Christian, because they've kind of had this weird animosity towards each other. And I'm okay, well now that they're paired up together, that's gonna put them in it'll be a good way to develop their relationship. Hopefully not, I don't really want them to get together, but just for them to be closer, because obviously Christian is this guy that Alyssa's had a crush on, or she's their boyfriend girlfriend, right? So okay, right. Also, there's a scene where Rose falls over because she's supposed to be protecting Christian, because she's supposed to be his guard, because she's been reassigned. to Christian, but she keeps seeing Mason. So then they tell her that she can't she can't continue to be training because she's inefficient at her job, basically. And then because of that, but then they have all of these conversations where what I'm not sure how I feel about is the way that this book is representing the series. Is like talking about Lissa and her powers, and like if she stops taking her medicine, then it makes her more powerful. I don't know how I feel about that. I just putting it out there. I'm not sure how I feel about that. It feels odd, but I am enjoying the way that like Rose is having to go to therapy and talk about like the situations that she's in, and the way the therapist is like, you're in this like not business, but like you were born into this, and like you are forced to do it, but like you can feel like you don't want to do it, obviously. But she was like, but I don't have that choice. Like I have to do what I have to do. But it's like she has to do what she has to do, but like she can still feel whatever way she wants to feel about it. And I love when therapy is involved in any form of television or shows, or like I love seeing characters go to therapy. It just, like that should be normalized. That should be in every single fucking book ever. Characters going to therapy. Yes, go to therapy. We all deserve it. And one thing I didn't like about the third book is that I remember the entire time in the third book, she's like, I can't tell anyone that I'm seeing ghosts because like they're gonna think I'm absolutely crazy. Like they're gonna think I'm bonkers. And like, but also it makes sense. Like it makes sense why she wouldn't, because there's consequences. And then when people do find out that that's when she gets kind of like kicked out of the program. So I guess like it made sense for her to not want to tell everybody, but she also doesn't tell Lissa. I can't remember if she tells her by the end of the book, but I feel like that's your best friend. Like you should be able to tell your best friend anything. Like that's what makes your best friend. I already mentioned it, the primary source and all that. And like, okay, but we're learning that a lot of this like black soul stuff is apparently going into Rose because it's coming from Lissa, and it's going to Rose because Lissa brought Rose back from the dead in, I guess, before the series starts. And that is adding some stakes I'm pretty into. I also have a note apparently about Lissa not being able to go to court, and I cannot remember why she was going to court. I think it was because in the first book, there's like a whole scene at the end, right? Where Lissa and Rose are talking to Victor, Lissa's uncle. And I guess they're trying to try him for some kind of crime. Which, it's odd to me that Lissa wouldn't be invited to that, because she was literally present and like there wasn't any other adults, but it was just Lissa and Rose. Like that's all the people that were there. So why would Lissa not be able to go to court to at least witness what's going on? Because it's directly affecting her. So that just kind of felt weird to me. Okay, also the reason that Rose can see Mason supposedly is because, again, she was brought back from the dead. So I like that we're seeing a connection from the first book into this book, and I'm hoping that the future books are going to expand on that even more, but I guess we'll see. But I do appreciate like Rose is seeing Mason, and it's not just out of nowhere. Like there's a lore kind of reason behind it. Like there's a magical reason-ish, like there's a paranormal reason. I guess paranormal is probably the better word. And like I remember that's right, the whole reason that she even knows Dimitri is Strigoi is because she asked Mason. She was literally asking Mason, like, is he dead? He was like, no. And she was like, is it worse? Like, what is it? And then she concludes, like, by talking to Mason that Dimitri is now Strigoi. I also just have a brief quote that Lissa was talking to the queen, and I remember really enjoying, there's like a quote where she says like, people aren't remembered for being traditional because, right. And I think there's another book somewhere like that talks about like boring people don't make history or rule followers don't make history, and it's like, I'm here for it. I'm here for these women shaking shit up. Okay, and then I have a quote here about Dimitri becoming Strigoi because there's a foreshadowing moment where I can't remember who Rose is talking to. She's talking to like a fortune teller? I don't know. It's a struggle to remember exactly. But supposedly, she's talking to this like, I can't remember who she's talking to, but she says, you're going to lose what you value most. And she thinks like that what she's going to lose is like Dimitri's going to die, but he doesn't die. He becomes Strigoi. And what she valued most was his soul. And I was like, ooh, man, that line, like, it was like, damn, she didn't lose. Like, it almost is like worse than if he had just died. Like, damn. Also, when Rose is in therapy, she's talking to the therapist about how the therapist is like, you just like him because he's unavailable. And let's talk about unavailable by the end of this book. Like, fuck, but she says like Rose thinks to herself like there's a lot of discourse around the series and Dimitri and Rose having a like being problematic because of their age gap, but every single scene that involves Rose's thoughts, like Rose is very clearly attracted to this man. So I'm not gonna say it's not problematic, because it's definitely possibly problematic, but it just doesn't seem to me like Rose is in any way or shape or form being manipulated to me. Like that's just how it's reading to me. That's just me though. It's not unheard of. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying it's not unheard of. And I don't know. If it was in real life, that'd be completely different. Like if it was a real life situation, that would be one thing, but this is a fictional book. So we're allowed to just kind of explore things we maybe wouldn't necessarily in real life. And again, I'm very intrigued to see what's going to happen in the following books, because what the fuck? Like, he's Strigoi. Is she going to kill him? Is she going to kill him? I don't fucking know. Okay, also the very end of this book has like an entire scene with Lissa and Rose, and Lissa is like, I don't want you to leave me. I don't want you to leave me. I want you to stay with me. I don't want you to go after him. And she's like, but I have to. And I think maybe because we were talking about the therapy earlier, she was like having thoughts already, like the therapist is planning things into her head, like, but you can leave. You can get out of this if you want to. She doesn't explicitly say that, but it kind of like plants that in her head. So I don't know, but let's... So that's all I can remember about this book, and I've been talking for 20 minutes, so I feel like that's probably sufficient, even though I did talk about another book. But that's what I remember about this, and Miss Mead is pretty good about slowly adding in like what happened in the last book. So I think as I read on, it will come to me. So yeah, I'm going to put this back on my already read it shelf, and then I have a huge stack. You're actually sitting on a huge stack of series I need to read, and my plan is to just go down the stack. Now we're going to start book number 4, which I don't have the audio for, so this might take me longer, but that's okay. I have audio for 5 and 6, which are actually much longer books. We're going to start Blood Promise. I think 4 and 5 is most people's favorite in the series. Maybe, I don't know. Or like it makes them the most emotional. I don't know. But how long is this bitch? Because these last 3 are long as fuck. So I'm over here like, yeah, I can read it in like a week and a half. Probably not. But also I know the writing in these is not stellar or anything. It's not dense. It's definitely not dense. So I'm gonna just read this with my eyes until my library hold comes in, and which probably might not even come in until I've already finished this book. So I guess that's what we'll have to deal with. Yep. Okay, I will update you once I get a little bit into Blood Promise. I read 1 chapter, well, the prologue and the first chapter, and we just met Sydney, who I'm pretty sure is like that girl on the cover of the Bloodlines. I'm pretty sure that's her, but intriguing. She's, I guess, an alchemist. I have no idea. I hope I like Sydney, because I feel like we're going to be following her for a long time. Also, I just love how urban fantasy has names like Sydney and Rose and not complicated ass names. Hopefully I'll try to get like 100 pages or halfway or something more significant before my next update. It's literally, I've only read 1 chapter, but like, this is what's so great about, like, there's so much plot, okay? I've only read chapter 2, but in this 1 chapter, Sydney has informed us / Rose that there's all this history behind the Moroi and the Strigoi, and like Sydney has like this tattoo on her body that helps protect her from vampires, and she's gonna live a long happy life because it has like earth and water magic in it. And also there was a whole thing about how the wards wherever Rose was in the last book were taken down because of humans, and like this conversation about how it's like humans, once they find out about vampires, they like become obsessed with them and they want to become one because they want to become immortal even though they know they're going to be damned. Like, yeah. Okay, I get why people love Sydney. Rose and Sydney killed a Strigoi, and then there was like this magical alchemy thing or whatever that like made the Strigoi, like his body just shrivel up into a ball, and that, I love magic. I love fantasy. This is what I like to read. And I've literally read like, I don't know, I'm very into it. So, gonna keep reading. I love when fantasy books are like, they make it to where we could have had vampires, like anyone in history could have been a vampire. Like, you just never know. That's what I love. I love that shit. I love when like history could have had any sort of fantastical element behind it. So, yeah. I'll probably update you after 1 more chapter, who knows. But again, I'm gonna try to read farther into it, and we'll see. But, okay. So again, I've only read like 2 chapters. I mean, updating every chapter is like probably too much, but I don't know. I will say one thing that I really enjoyed that Miss Mead has decided to do here is that of course, Rose has a psychic connection to Lissa. But like that's such an interesting way for us to see, because she's using first person. Like this book is written in first person, but using, and I don't know if I maybe mentioned this in my first 2 reviews, but the fact that there's a connection, it allows you to use first person, but then still have like kind of multiple POV in a way, because every time we're in Lissa's perspective, it says Lissa did this, Lissa did that, blah blah blah. But like we're seeing it through Rose's eyes, which is just an interesting choice. But I also feel like this. Something I'm learning about my own personal taste is that I really need to read some more fantasy and romance, because I definitely like, specifically fantasy romance as a genre, not like I need to read more romance or fantasy. Like, even though it's kind of cheesy, because I feel like there's specific lines in here, like specifically I'm thinking of lines that, like thoughts that Rose is having about Dimitri and how he's like the love of her life, and I'm like, I'm just a romantic, I guess. Like I'm just a little bit romantic at heart. While I do think this little 18-year-old girl has like no idea what she's really talking about when she says love, but like why not just let her feel how she feels, you know? And I also feel like we're getting a lot of romantic descriptions about Siberia and Russia and like the train in Russia, and it's just something I wasn't really expecting. This is just, it's just so, I don't know, not cozy, but it's like, I'm just enjoying it. That's all. I'm like actually having fun reading, you know? Not that like, I always have fun reading. Like I enjoy reading. I wouldn't read as much as I do if I didn't, but it's like, this is just like, some would argue, turn your brain off entertainment, because Miss Reed is holding our hand a lot here. She really is. Like she's holding our hand through a lot of what's happened in the previous books, and constantly kind of reminding us like what events have happened in order to make sure you don't forget. But I'm not hating it. But the only issue with that is that sometimes it feels like, yeah, I know that because I read the last book. I want us to continue the plot of this book. Like I know what happened in the last book, so like let's just focus on the plot of this book. Because I've only read 5 chapters, but it's like, I feel like I'm equally plot and character driven, because I want the plot to move along, but I also want character development. I also feel like the Sydney, and I feel like the Vampire Academy series in general, we're getting, maybe not the first book, but as the series is progressing, we're getting a lot of good female-female relationships, which I just feel like are so underrepresented in media in all forms. Like I love a female-female friendship all the time. I mean, male-male friendship also, like just 2 men being friends, like especially 2 sensitive men being, like it's just so rare. I'm not seeing a whole lot of like guy on guy friendship, but the female friendships and Sydney and Rose and the way that they're interacting with each other, it's like I'm about it. That's all I know. I'm about it. We're going to meet the Strigoi, because Sydney apparently knows where the Strigoi are located, and apparently Sydney's into cars, which I enjoy that too. There's a conversation about how Sydney is really into cars, which is kind of like a boyish thing, but like her mom is the one that taught her, and then her dad is the one that wanted her to get into like the alchemy thing. So again, I appreciate the gender roles kind of being swapped in a way here. It's just like trying to fit people in a box is just so annoying. Like your mom can be a mechanic and your dad can be into magic, and like I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying Sydney and Rose's relationship, and I feel like the Dimitri-Rose relationship, like I think I really became okay with it in book 3. Like I was like, yeah, I see it's problematic in books 1 and 2, but then by book 3 I was like, because I think by the end of book 3 she's more of an adult, I guess. I don't know, but I'm gonna try to not to update you too soon, but I could update you in 2 more pages. I don't know. Okay, ta-ta for now. Okay, so first of all, ooh, this hair. First of all, I went to a local indie bookstore, which I don't know if I've ever done, to be honest. And it's called Interabang Books. But I decided that I was going to purchase a very hyped book that I hope I'm going to enjoy. Just saw a very funny quote just by opening that page. Okay. Well, this has a blurb on it. It says it's perfect for fans of Cassandra Clare and Kirsten White. Now, Kirsten White, I haven't read anything from, but she definitely intrigues me as an author. She has a lot of work, so I hope I like it, but I also kind of hope I don't like it, because that's a lot of work to catch up on. But let's get back to what you're probably actually watching this video for, and that is, of course, the Vampire Academy series. So I think, what was my last update? I was on page 80 something, 90 something. I'm on 120. I haven't read anything today, but I'm about to sit down and read. But I'm enjoying the same things I was previously enjoying, to be honest. Like, it's just, I do feel like we're getting a lot of, this is what happened with me in the past, and this is what happened with me before. And I'm like, okay, yeah, I know. Like, I've read the previous books. Like, I don't need this much hand-holding. But I'm just gotta be like a good balance. So Rose has gone back since she wasn't thinking that this is going to be happening to her, but she found Dimitri's family and she told Dimitri's family that he has become Strigoi, and Sydney is very much like, that means he's dead. We need to act like he's dead. They're mourning his funeral. Like, they do not want to act as if this man is alive because he is Strigoi, and Strigoi means that he is dead. And it reminds me of, well, I don't want to spoil, it's a TV show it reminds me of, but it reminds me of something in the show Supernatural that I love because I love the supernatural. Like, I love that in media. I don't love it in my real life. I don't want to experience things with it in real life, but in books and movies and fiction, I eat it up. So I think I'm about, a fifth of the way into it because it's about 500 pages. So my goal for today would be to get to at least 200. I would like to get to 200. If that hole on the library audio comes through, I can finish it in 2 days probably. But we're just working with eyes. We're working with these peoples, and that's all I got. So, was I already mentioned that she got attacked by a Strigoi? Rose got attacked by a Strigoi. Was that before or after? Yeah, it was definitely, I think, before she met not Rose. That was before she met Dimitri's family. But of course, Rose is just being a badass and kicking ass, taking names. So I will let you know once I get further into it. I hope that this vlog might be like over an hour long, and I hope I don't get corrupted clips or whatever, but we'll see. Okay, I'll see you in my next update. Bye. I don't know how I forgot to mention this, but I don't think I mentioned it. It's been 3 hours and I've read 6 pages, but like, I've been doing other stuff. But as I was reading this just now, I was reminded that how the hell can I forget? When Rose was being attacked by the Strigoi, she's able to summon spirits, which I can't remember if that's mentioned in the first 3 books, like if she uses that power or not. Maybe in the 3rd book? But I know, like, we know she sees Mason. You know she can see Mason, but like the spirits literally saved her from the Strigoi. The spirits, and then also Sydney kind of helped a little bit. But like, I don't know, I just really, really enjoyed that piece of the story. So I really need to actually get back into it and hopefully get to page 200. Actually, maybe it's only been like 2 hours, but still, I've literally read, like, I was on 120, I'm on 128. This is why I love audiobooks, because physically I'd be so slow, and it's just the ADD. The ADD is so wild. All right, I'm gonna get back into it, and I'll probably update you after 5 pages. I did not get to page 200 yet, but it does look, I'm on 160. I just finished the chapter 10, where we have met Oksana. Anyways, I finished chapter 10, and Rose has just met this couple that are, I guess, distantly related to Dimitri's grandmother, or just friends of Dimitri's grandmother. I don't know. But something incredibly interesting about this magic system is that, so Lissa has what they call spirit, because they have the elemental magic system, but then there's people who just like don't develop, you know, if we're on book 4 here, you probably know all of this already. But like the fact that these spirit users can do different things with their magic is so exciting. I just find that to be my favorite thing about fantasy is usually like lore and mythology behind creatures or just the magic itself as a plot device. I don't really know what you would call it, but the way it's building up the lore, I don't really have a better word for it, but that is something I find very intriguing, because basically Oksana and Mark, her husband, one of them is a Dampier and one of them is a Moroi. I think Oksana has to be the Moroi, right? Because the Morois are the only ones with the elemental stuff, but she has the spirit, so I guess she must have saved Mark's life at one point. And the whole fact that when you bring people back from the dead and it creates a bond with you is so intriguing. And I guess Oksana can peruse people's minds, and Rose is talking to Mark and she's like, well, can she walk in people's dreams? And he's like, no, people can do that. So they're like learning from each other about the different things that spirit users can do, you know. And I'm seeing like the next book is called Spirit Bound, that's what's always fun with the series, is then you can see like when it's complete, you can see what the next books are called, like, and just make assumptions. Literally knowing what all of Robin Hobb series are called, like I've only read the first book, but I know like from the first book it mentions all the different, not all of them, but it mentions like other parts of the world and stuff. So, but as far as Miss Mead is concerned, she's definitely keeping me engaged whenever I am reading. I actually was gonna go see a movie tonight, but that didn't work out because we're gonna go see it a different day because the only times we could go see it was like 10 p.m. and it's a weeknight. Yeah, yesterday I think I read 10 pages, so that's fine. Hopefully tonight I can read. I still want to get to like 200 because I have the 5th and 6th audio for, I think I still have it for 18 days or something. So if I can finish this by like Sunday night, because I can probably read more than 100 on the weekend. I'll have the last 2 books for 2 weeks basically. So I just did a bunch of math to figure that out, but 2 weeks should be plenty of time to finish 2 audiobooks easily. Gonna get back to reading now. My hair is a mess because I took a nap, but I'm now up to page 200, so 2/5 the way through the book. And Adrian just went to visit Rose in her dream, and they had a fight, and I hated that so much. Like, I hated the way that ended. I will say something that's kind of annoying me in the sense is that I feel like there is so much, like, when the dialogue is happening, like, Adrian said something like, "You're bothering me right now," and then you're in Rose's head, and Rose is like, something about the way he said that just seemed a little off, and I'm like, I can tell, like, I can tell that. And there's a lot of, it's very heavy foreshadowing in the sense of, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but they keep talking about how, like, Rose keeps talking about how it's like, oh, Lissa, she said that in a way that was out of character. She was acting very strange. And Adrian just said to Rose, like, it's just, Adrian said something to Rose like, Lissa, I can see these little glimpses of darkness in her. And I'm like, okay, I see we're setting something up here. I feel kind of like I'm getting beaten over the head with it. But what I am still enjoying is the same things I was just mentioning about the lore and the mythology, the spirit users, the magic. And they were having a fight basically because Adrian was like, I want to know where you are, because Rose told him, I know where the spirit, like, I know I met another person who's shadow kissed. And Adrian was like, we need to know who that is. Like, we want to know where they are. But yeah, they had a fight, and they said they're never going to talk again, which I really hope that's not true. I hope they talk, they might not even talk again in this book, and that would make me so upset, because I've come to enjoy Adrian as a character for sure, but these books are so Russian. Like, they're so Russian. I think I'm working on the speed in which I can physically read a book, which I feel like I have to just let myself get sucked into the story, and that helps a lot. But it's like past midnight, so I'm gonna go to bed, and I don't know if I'm gonna have a chance to read any of this tomorrow, but hopefully over the weekend I can make a pretty good dent in it. Good night. So it's been like 3 days and I've read 30 pages, but the last 30 pages that I just read, I pretty much just read in the last like hour, and I read so slow. Like, I hate how slow I read because I feel like I'm updating so often with so little. But anyway, so in these last 30 pages, I don't think I've mentioned Abe yet. So Abe is this person who's like following Rose around, and I guess Sydney knew who Abe is, and they have a nickname for him that he's like a snake, but like we don't know, like he's like this weird mafia person or something, and he wants Rose to go back to the United States. And of course, Rose was trying to search for Dimitri, but she ended up staying with Dimitri's family instead and realizing, like, I should probably tell them what happened to their son. So now they're like, you can just stay with us. And she was like, I guess I can. But Abe is like, that's a pipe dream. You need to leave. And he wants her to leave. So I'm guessing he has some kind of connection with the Strigoi or something, because obviously why else would he care about whether she's here or not? And there's a Moroi named Roland, I guess, who got one of Dimitri's sisters pregnant, and I guess is now trying to get another sister pregnant, but also hit on Rose, so he's clearly like a man whore in this sense. But like, her sister doesn't know that that's the father, that like the guy that she's falling for is also the father of her sister's child. But Abe is like, hey, if you could just, like, he says to Rose, if you leave the country, then I will stop him from doing that. Which, I don't know, this is when I'm starting to feel like, obviously the first 3 books have had their problems, they've been problematic, but I feel like the whole using, it's a very kind of, I guess, convoluted way of trying to get Rose to go back to the United States. Like, I feel like there could have been other factors in it or something, or other ways to do it, but I'm like almost to the halfway point, so I'm like, is she gonna go back to the States because we've continuously seen her peek into Rose's mind, and Adrian has like come into her dreams. Like we still have like this connection to it, and I kind of like that it's happening in two different places. So if she's gonna go back, I don't know. How long are they gonna drag out the hunt for Dimitri? Because I want that. Like I feel like after the end of book 3, I'm like reading to get to like Rose and Dimitri meeting again. And if it doesn't happen in this book, I feel like I'm gonna be a little bit irritated. But like it's a 6-book series, it had to be 6 books somehow, plus a spinoff. Also, I feel like we got so little of Sydney. I was so intrigued by Sydney and everything that she had to say about the history of vampires that I wish that like she had been around longer. But no more Sydney, just have to deal with that. So I'm gonna keep reading. Hopefully I can get to like maybe 300 today, but that's asking a lot of myself. So I will update you when I have more thoughts. I guess I'm gonna try to see also how long this vlog is as of now, because I feel like if it's really long, I don't know if I want to just do all the books in one video or not, but I guess we'll see. We'll see. Okay, bye. So I'm now up to page 285, about to start chapter 18. I'm pretty sure that I was saying in my last clip that I was like, I really hope that she's gonna meet Dimitri again in this book, and it just happened. It's how the last chapter ended, and he was like, you forgot my first lesson, don't hesitate, and then he like knocks her out. So, and we have about half of the book left. I went and started reading in bed, which I used to never do because I would always fall asleep, but I took like a 5-hour nap today, so I think I'm good. Also, we had the, what's the term? We had the insight into Alyssa's perspective again, and again, I feel like I'm being beat over the head with Alyssa's just acting so out of character. She kissed another boy, and then that little Jill girl was like, how dare you, you're cheating on Christian, like, how dare you, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, it's not cheating. I'm like, that's cheating. But I guess it's like her ex, that there used to be a love triangle with Mia and Lissa, and Aaron, I think is his name. So, I don't know. Lissa is kind of, I don't know, I'm just very... It's weird, and she's having all this struggle about like, I can't believe I didn't think to go with Rose to Russia, which like, sure. And she's like, oh, now I'm having this guardian that like this girl wanted to be the guardian for one of her childhood friends, but she's not going to be able to because now she has to be Lissa's guardian. And she's like, I feel so guilty because like I could have just gone with Rose and then we would have avoided this. But I don't know if Lissa and Rose being together in Russia is what I would have wanted actually, because I've said before, I'm enjoying like the split areas of the world. I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with Dimitri and Rose, because Rose didn't kill Dimitri, which isn't really surprising because she's constantly talking about how obsessed she is with this man and how she's like, this reminded me of that memory and this reminded me of that memory, and he's so angelic the way he looks, and like, she's like, I'm so in love. And then I'm pretty sure someone, was it Abe, was like, you're such a silly girl for thinking your first love is like the one. And I appreciate that. Also, Avery said something that was so... Avery's one of like Lissa's friends back in the US. She said something, I can't remember the line, but I was like, that was weirdly deep. About how things change when you get older or something like that. So that was odd, but yeah, I'm on page 284 technically. So I actually was reading pretty quickly. I feel like reading in bed. I propped it up, the light was good. So I think I'm gonna go, I don't know, I kind of want to take a break. So I'll probably take a little break, but once I start reading again and have some more stuff to say, okay, bye. Okay, so I am now on page 234. I'm on chapter 21, and a lot has happened. So after she woke up in the room with Dimitri, they basically have several encounters, and obviously Rose didn't kill him, so she wakes up and he doesn't kill her. No one's killing each other, but he tells her that he wants her to become Strigoi with him. And she's like, no, I wouldn't do that, I wouldn't do that. But as the story is progressing, it seems to be more and more of a possibility. And wow, am I not gonna like that? And she constantly has him sucking her blood and like draining blood out of her, and it feels very like she's almost gonna be forced into it, which is like, this is giving the problematic urban fantasy storylines. But you know, it's just one book in a series, so I don't know what's gonna happen in the following books. I don't even know what's gonna happen by the end of this book, but wow. And it's just so, they talk about them being together, making out, kissing all the time. And Rose is so attracted to Dimitri, and it's just, I don't know. But I have a little over 150 pages left. So, but I'm gonna take a break because I'm actually gonna go see that new movie, Don't Worry Darling, which I know had a lot of controversy around it, which you should watch Jess Owen's video about it if you don't know anything about it, but I will see you in my next update. Few things. I bought some more books, and I think I'm gonna unhaul some books because this is so random. So if you just only care about Vampire Academy, then I'll try to put like a timestamp up here. But I was talking to one of my friends, and I was like, I always had this goal, or I've been trying to have this goal of like, I want to focus on my physical TBR. I want to focus on the books I own physically. And then I just had an epiphany today that I don't care about the books I own physically. I mean, that's incorrect. I just don't feel like I need to make them as much of a priority, because what's more important to me is finding a new favorite book. Because reading is my hobby, and you can spend money on anything that you want. And because a hobby should be fun, and I'm not getting paid to do this or anything, and I don't want to get paid. I don't want to be paid to review books. I read books, and I only have a channel to speak to other people who read books. Like, the discussion piece of reading books I enjoy just as much as the reading experience. So, all that being said, I am no longer going to care if I own the book physically or not. If I can get access to it through the library, why not? Because is it better? Because what I want is to have an entire shelf collection of my favorite books. And if I have to read them first, figure that out, or listen to them first, then that's what I have to do, and that's what I want to do. So that was a rant, but also I purchased The Once and Future King by T.H. White. And I love these like editions that are just, I love hardbacks that just have a design printed on it. I love it. I just love it so much. And this was half off where I got it, so I also purchased a very polarizing book. I know several of my friends actually hated this book, and I was going to just listen to it, and then I realized that it's narrated by the same narrator as Light from Uncommon Stars, and I don't like that narrator. So I figured I might as well just read this with my eyes to give it its best shot, and this is the same publisher as Cassandra Clare. So, and I've heard this compared to like book 2 of the Diviners. So, I mean, but so many people that I follow hate this book. They just think it's not good. And I don't know, like maybe that the writing is self-satisfying and pretentious and stuff. And like, maybe it is, and maybe I'll hate it, but reading it physically will be a better experience for me because I don't love that narrator. So there's these. They are very different color palettes, but okay. All right, so if you're only here for Vampire Academy, then let me tell you, I'm so excited because I got my audio hold through the library come through, and I mean, I read so much. Like, I didn't read that much. I only read like 2 or 3 chapters, but the amount of time I was able to read those in was like 20 to 30 minutes compared to like an hour when I read it myself. For me, physically reading a book is a much slower project, and I have the 5th and the 6th ready to go, so we're about to speed on through the rest of this vlog, but I will obviously be reviewing as I go. So, in the last 2 chapters, basically, or I honestly don't know what my last update was. I'm pretty sure we talked about Dimitri and him being Strigoi and him wanting to drag Rose into that. And I mentioned earlier how I like Lissa and Rose's connection, and I like how it's kind of this interesting way to have 2 different parts of the world going at once. And something really cool about the audiobook actually is that when Rose goes into Lissa's perspective, there's like sound effects that go with it. Super cool. And we've just been given the little detail that Avery, who's been hanging around with Lissa and the crew, apparently is also a spirit user and is like forcing Rose to exit Lissa's mind, which is interesting because now it's like, so does that mean that Avery's evil? And then Rose was like thinking to herself like, okay, so is maybe So maybe Avery's like evil and she's the one committing compulsion, and maybe, I don't know. And when I first started listening to this, I was like, oh, I don't know about this narrator, but she actually does a good job of having a distinction between all of the characters. And Dimitri has a Russian accent, but Adrian has a British accent. So I think that's really important for me in an audiobook, is like the narrator just making it clear which character you're listening to, because obviously if you can't tell. Oh, and I also read the part about Dimitri and Rose having a conversation, and Rose told Dimitri about how she was with Dimitri's family, and then Dimitri was all sweet and innocent, and Rose was like, okay, well now I just have to continue to like fool him into thinking that I'm gonna become Strigoi. But right where I was left off before I came to update you, Rose seems like she might be about to escape. So I wonder if she's gonna go after Lissa, or if she's gonna go back home. I don't know what she's gonna do. I don't know if she's going to escape. I'm pretty sure she's gonna escape. Like, I doubt that Miss Mead is gonna kill her off in book 4, but I am curious about following books for sure. I wonder, because I know in the sequel series we're not following Rose, and I'm curious why that is. But, so I have what? How many pages left? I have I only have like 110 left? No. Really? Yeah, I basically have like 110-ish pages left. So, gonna maybe update after like the next 50 pages. I feel like I've been updating very frequently with this one, and I think now that I'm switching to audio, I can probably update like every 30 to 50%, and then at the end, because I feel like maybe that'll be more interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'm updating too often. I don't know. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, how often you think updating should happen. I was like, let me just update every single time something happens, but a lot happens. But also I feel like nothing's happened, because I feel like she's went to Russia. I mean, she went to Russia, she went to Dimitri's family, now she's with Dimitri. So like she's been in like 3 different places, and like, but Lissa's storyline is kind of like not that interesting. I don't know. But I will update you when I feel like it. So, and after this series is complete, I'm gonna read whatever the hell I want, whether I own it or not. And I'm excited about that, because I feel like I've been putting this weird pressure on myself that I just don't need to, because reading is a hobby. And yeah, so side tangent over. Catch you later. So with the joys of audiobooks and multitasking, I'm down to 1 chapter left, and we have Rose reunited with Lissa, and I'm very happy about that. Also, oh, let me tell you the biggest plot point is probably that Rose killed Dimitri. She went ahead and stabbed him, and she got out, and good for her. Good for her. Like, good for her. The man that she was literally magnetized to and obsessed with and couldn't get away from, she found a way to just stab him. I have a feeling this won't be the end of the Rose and Dimitri love story. But yeah, this whole, also, okay, yeah, I was able to listen to a lot. So I literally have 1 chapter left, and I think my last update was like 4 or 5 chapters ago. So Avery turns out is evil, and she killed people and was trying to kill Lissa to make her have a bond with Lissa, and wow. So, you know what I really do appreciate about these books, and what I appreciate about Miss Mead, is that Rose is a very kick-ass, take names kind of person, but Lissa is kind of like this more prim and proper pretty girl, but they're both such good friends with each other, and like the female-female friendships, there's just so few of them really in lots of media, but I feel like they're done pretty well in this book. So, also, I thought I was just gonna get sound effects on the audiobook whenever it was like Rose going into Lissa's mind, but it's like literally like the whole scene with her and Dimitri the whole time had sound effects, and it was very like thrilling. The sound effects like kind of amped up the tension. So I actually, even though the narrator's kind of annoying, she's not great, but like the sound effects, they kind of balance it out. So I know this is a different narrator than like 4, so I don't know, but yeah. So the whole, also, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it a couple times, but Rose having this weird connection with the dead because she herself is shadow-kissed is just fascinating to me. Like, I'm very into that piece of it. And like the paranormal stuff. I know there's tons of paranormal romance series, so maybe this will be my gateway into that. But I know I want to read like some Nalini Singh. Definitely want to read some Alana Andrews, and JD Robb, like all of them. Anything urban fantasy, romance, mystery, like I want to read it. But what I really like about these, like these specifically, the Vampire Academy book specifically, is the magic lore piece of it. So I really want that to be kind of a, and I'm pretty sure I would get that with Alana Andrews. So Alona Andrews. All of that aside, still enjoying it. I'm excited to finish this and move on and have another completed series under my belt. Very excited about that. I don't know if I'll have time to update you before I'm on lunch right now, so I don't know if I'll finish it before I go back to work. But if not, I'm just gonna truck on to the next book because I've already vlogged it and I can just immediately continue the next book because I feel like we have enough thoughts for sure at this point to go with for just one book. I mean, shit, I might just make like 3 different videos. I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm worried I'm gonna like upload this footage. It'll be like 3 hours long. I really hope not. But if it's 3 hours long for one book, then I'll have to reconsider some things. But there we go. Catch you in the next clip. I have officially finished it. I just finished it. I finished it after work actually. And I've given all 3 books 4 stars. I'm gonna continue to give this one 4 stars. I'm very excited to continue the series and see what events unfold for us next. Since I last spoke to you, Dimitri is no longer dead. Well, I guess he never was dead. So again, my favorite parts about this series have been the magic, the spirit, part of the magic. I feel like they never use the elemental magic stuff, but like I don't really care. Like that's not what I'm really reading for. And I guess we're gonna try to get Victor out of prison. So that'll be interesting, but Lissa doesn't know that yet. Also, hello. Apparently Abe, who we met earlier, is Rose's father. So what the fuck is that about? Yeah, I don't really remember what else happened. Like I just read it and it already left my brain. That's why I'm glad I did this as a vlog because I feel like rewatching clips, I will be like, oh yeah, for the entire vlog. So I guess she ends it with her wanting to go back to Dimitri to find him, even though Dimitri has sent her a letter to tell her that he's going to kill her. So we have a lot of this killing, but then also really wanting to be together kind of thing. So yeah, it feels so good to continue in a series. And then I can, I don't think the writing is good in these books. I'm sorry. It's not poorly written. It's just, you know, it could give a little more. But the plot and the characters are what is carrying me through. Definitely the plot. I think the plot for me, I'm enjoying the plot even more than the characters. So I'm just trying to think if there's anything else I want to say before I immediately go into book 5, but I really don't think so. And I don't, even if the video is like 3 hours long, I'm just going to do it as a whole entire vlog, and it's just going to have to be what it is because I want to finish the series, and vlogging a whole series to me is just weirdly motivating. So also, it seems like Rose and her mom are kind of resolving some issues. Rose is going to go back to school and actually stay at the school, or at least she said she was. But now that she got a letter from Dimitri, I don't know. This has confirmed for me that when I read any fantasy book, or yeah, pretty much any fantasy book, because I don't really feel like this is the case in other literature, but literally any time we have a death, if we don't see the body, they're not dead. Yeah, I think that's pretty much confirmed for me that now anytime I read a fantasy book, I will. I don't know why it's taken me this many books to realize it, but if you don't see the body, don't trust it. All right, so I'm about to start Spirit Bound, book 5. And I guess Rose is gonna try to see if she can save. Is this shorter than book 4? Oh, wow. I mean, barely, but all right, I'll let you know once I get a little bit more into this. Hopefully with my headphones, I want to update less frequently because I just know I be rambling. I was literally updating like every 2 chapters with this, and it's just not gonna work anymore, fam. So hopefully I can update like every 30% because that's gonna be a lot easier to just vlog here. Okay, bye. Hello again. So with the magic of audiobooks, I have gotten up to page 108, chapter 6 of this book. And man, that was in one day compared to, I mean, I guess I could read, I don't know if I ever read 100 pages in a day physically, but I have some notes. I cannot believe, I don't know if I mentioned this in any previous clips, but the Christian and Lissa breakup, hated that. I know I talked about the Adrian and Rose thing, which is completely resolved at that point. But yeah, I hated that. So now Adrian and Rose, I guess, are dating because that was how kind of the fourth book ended, with like Adrian being like, I'm gonna like show you that I'm worth it, basically. It's an interesting thing, but also all the Moroi royalty were like, oh, well, we know you're just having fun. You're not going to get married. So, like, it's not that big of a deal. And yeah, the fact that Dimitri's not dead, I don't think Adrian's going to last past this book. Don't think so. So yeah, but chapter 5 ends with him being like, okay, we're about to go to like break Victor Dashkov out of the prison. So that's wild. Alyssa's trying to like get all of the spirit into all these different like jewelry items and stuff, which again, I love spirit, but again, we barely scratched the surface with all these other elements. The only thing I really could tell you is that Mia uses water, Christian uses fire. I remember in this second or third book, like when Mia was like, I use fire to, she used water, and that like ended up being the thing that saved them all. I actually really liked Mia as a character. I feel like the last book I had said like it was interesting to have like different perspectives of the like in the world, literally, but getting back to like Lissa and Rose together, I feel like is possibly something. I think I enjoy it more. I think I enjoy them being physically in the same place together more, and them going to jail to bust someone out because they want to see, I guess they're trying to see if he's going to be able to help them bring Dimitri back. Well, stop him from being Strigoi, I guess. So there's a guy who killed his old teacher because she and him, I think were bonded, and because they were bonded, she started going crazy, and then she turned herself into a Strigoi, and then he ended up killing her. So Rose has been asking him questions about that, and that's buck wild. But yeah, hated the breakup. Love Lissa and Rose being together again, plus Eddie, who was Mason's friend, who, if you saw my first video, you know I love Mason. And then the second book was, man, Rochelle Mead ripped my heart out with that one, but I appreciate her for it. I appreciate her for, and then giving us time in book 3 to kind of deal with the consequences of that. I feel like 1 through 3 were so good, and I think 4 was maybe kind of a step down to me in comparison to my enjoyment, I feel like, but maybe that's because I was reading it physically, I don't know. And again, this is continuing to have the amazing sound effects, like when Lissa used compulsion on someone, and it has like this very like ooky spooky music. I'm into it. I'm pretty into it. So, and I'm like getting used to the narrator's voice. Like, it's still not my favorite. She's definitely not my favorite narrator by any means. But like I said before, she does a good job of distincting. She does a good job of having different character voices. That's pretty important, I feel like, in a narrator. Okay, well, that's really all I had to say so far. So I'll say it again. Catch me in the next update. Hello, I'm back. Let me get my notes. So since my last update, we've had quite a few developments because I am now, I don't know if you can tell. Hi, can you see that? Can you see it? Can you see it? I'm on page 263 / over halfway through the book. And, you know, I'm having a great time. I'm loving the turn the brain off reading. So basically what's transpired. Victor is gone. He has escaped. They have taken him to Vegas because somebody had a brother that was able to confirm that you can put spirit into a stake, and then when you stab that stake into a Strigoi, then the Strigoi are able to live, I believe. So then we have Lissa, who's like, I can do it for you, Rose. And then, of course, Christian and Lissa are broken up, but I hate that for them. So Christian is like, they weren't speaking and they were being dumb, and I was like, oh, are we gonna have like this weird annoying thing where they don't talk to each other? But no, apparently Christian is gonna try to train Lissa how she can use the stake to stab a Strigoi. I guess the Moroi are too weak to stab a Strigoi themselves for some odd reason. And then they were talking about how they're gonna just use their powers to like, if you're a Moroi, then you should just use your powers, like your elemental powers. But then Lissa is like, but I don't have any elemental powers, I only have spirit. Oh, and then Adrian, wow, a lot has happened. So Adrian like found them in Vegas because Rose had a bunch of credit cards from Adrian because he was trying to help her out when she had to go to Russia to chase after her other man. So we love men financing our trips. And there was a line with Christian and Lissa that I really liked, where Christian was like, you know, I'm gonna train you on how to do this. We should learn how to do this because it would be really important for the whole world. Like, it's not just about Dimitri. And then we also had Dimitri like attack them at the hotel in Vegas, and then he attacked them again. Like, he's very in and out of the picture. So, and he's clearly going after Rose, but I don't think he's trying to kill Rose. He's not trying to kill Rose. I don't really know what I guess he still wants to turn her into Strigoi. You know, there's a letter from him at the very beginning that's like, he says he's gonna track her down, and he says like, if you must die, it'll be by my hand, no one else's. So I guess he's after her to kill her. But I just don't think he's gonna, I think he's gonna wimp out. I don't think they actually, I mean, they're in love. I don't think he wants to kill her. So, don't have much faith in that. Also, Victor hooked him up with a guy that used to use the stake, or he was able to figure out how to make the stake destroy Strigoi. Not destroy them, but make them come back to life. Make them, I guess, make them vampire again, or make them vampires again, or make them human again. And then after the Vegas trip, you know, Rose goes back to the academy and she graduates with flying colors. And then they separate Lissa and Rose again, which, you know, makes sense because they have a bond. So you can be in two parts of the world again. Like, I guess it's, I don't know, it's kind of annoying. Like, I just kind of wish they would just be together. But I guess it makes sense why they're apart because it makes it easier to write a longer story. I don't know. Yeah, but the chapter literally just ended with Lissa and Christian being, like, Dimitri caught them and he wants them to be bait to get Rose out of wherever she's at. She's like in this weird administration panel or whatever, doing all kinds of boring, like, tasky stuff that she doesn't care about. So, you know, I still feel like I wish we had more elemental magic. Like, I feel like it's so underutilized in these books. Like, I'm enjoying Spirit. Spirit is cool, but like elemental magic is also really cool. And we're getting none of it. Like, no, other than Christian using fire and Mia using water in book 2, and now we're on to book 5. I think Christian has used fire maybe in 3 different scenes in each, out of the whole series. He's maybe used fire 3 times, maybe 4 times that I can remember. And Mia using water in book 2. And then who else has used, I mean, I haven't seen anybody use earth or air. Like, I don't think at all, you know. And Avery's whole thing with the spirit thing was interesting. And like all the lore behind spirit is interesting. So like, I'll give it that. But I just wish we had more focus on the other elementals. But that's just me. I am not everyone. So hopefully by me switching to audio, I think books 5 and 6 are gonna have much less runtime in the vlog. But I feel like these are the kind of books that you just, I don't know, I feel like I said what I need to say. So I'll see you in the next update. And I will probably be in this chair still. I do get up from the chair. I do leave the chair, I promise. I walk around. I'm not always in this chair. I'm not constantly in this video. I'm always in the chair. But I am going out and living my life, but who cares about that? Like, we're here for Vampire Academy. We're here for Adrian and Rose and Christian and Lissa and Avery and Mia and Eddie. Like, we're here for all of them. We're here to learn about their lives. I will update you when I have something else to say. Is this really the last time I updated y'all? Like, this is really the last time I updated y'all? Because I'm done. Did I read this book in 2 days? Did I read this book in 2 days? No. Did I really read this book in 2 days? I haven't read a book in 2 days in a very long time. Okay, well, obviously, I read the entire second half of the book, so a lot happened. Oh God, like, just so... Where do I even start? Oh my God. Well, so Lissa had Dimitri's Strigoi-ness removed, which I didn't even tell y'all that. I feel like I did not. Did I finish it? I did not. I'm shocked. I could not tell you the last time I finished a book that quickly. Okay, well, but I don't feel like I'm enjoying this more than the other. I was actually thinking about it, and I feel like I enjoyed the first 3 more than 4 and 5. Because like I was saying with the last one, I feel like we're not getting any elemental magic, which I really wish we had more of. And like, we're just not getting like what I want from the series. However, the last 20% of this book were so good. I have to pull up my notes. I was taking notes as I was reading. I can see like when certain, Oh, okay. So Dimitri, he's back, whatever. Okay, then Rose gets called into this meeting with Tatiana and they ask her all these questions about the Strigoi and how many she's killed and whatever. And she's like, that was weird. And then we turn around and find out that Tatiana apparently wants to have, well, I don't know if it's Tatiana specifically or someone behind Tatiana or what. They want to have Guardians graduate when they're 16 instead of when they're 18. And Rose is like, but then she feels used because she was like answering these questions, not realizing like that's what that was about. Right. Okay, that happened after, but then also before that, Dimitri has his soul removed, and then Lissa goes to see him, and he refuses to see Rose, and like that was so irritating. And he like, I don't want to see Rose. Like I feel so guilty about what happened. I just can't believe blah 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 blah. And then of course, like Rose ends up forgiving him. Also, we have a scene where they go to like this ballroom or this masquerade thing, kind of, and Adrian gives everybody these passwords, and that was an interesting scene, but it wasn't really anything like that exciting. I don't feel like, right? And then like there were some interesting themes explored with Dimitri and him coming back from being Strigoi, and it's like, should he be allowed to be a guardian again or not? We didn't really get an answer for that in this book, technically, but they talk a lot about like, oh, are you a Strigoi? And they have like this little kid come up and be like, he starts asking all these questions, and they're still trying to figure out, is he like fully healed from being a Strigoi or not? We don't really know all the way. There's a couple lines about Tatiana and like what's going on with her. So we have a lot of push and pull with Dimitri here. And then of course Rose is with Adrian, and then Dimitri's like, you're with Adrian, and she's like, okay, that's cool. Also there's this really brief thing with Sydney's calling Adrian cute because Rose has to call Sydney, or she finds out Sydney reveals to Rose that somebody hacked into Lissa's father's files, which now I'm realizing by the end of the book that someone, okay, wait, hold on. Okay, I cannot believe how much has happened. Like, I cannot believe, did I read all of that today? There's just no way. I read so many events in a 24, like, no. I'm shocked. I mean, the plot is constantly moving along, so I mean, I guess there's okay, well, Tatiana is murdered. Tatiana is murdered. Tatiana being murdered. Tatiana being murdered. And then Rose getting framed for it, as far as we know. I mean, unless there was something happening off screen here that we don't know about. Like, I feel like Tatiana is like, somehow, this is my theory, is that Tatiana is somehow framing Rose from the grave. Like, or maybe she's not really dead. I don't know. I don't think we've seen Tatiana's body. We haven't seen Tatiana's body. So I thought they're trying to come for Rose somehow. They want her to get like ousted, shafted. I don't really know what that's about. But for some reason, and I was thinking about this, I was like, okay, they want all these guardians to graduate early. Is the reason that they want to do that because they know they can't handle it, so then they're gonna like kill off the guardians. So that was that. But then also we have Rose going to this courtroom, and in the courtroom she's going to be defended by this one guy, but then instead of that guy, she has her own father. Yeah, I didn't even tell you that part. Did I tell you that part? I don't know. Smay, the Abe guy, I think that was in the last book, that we would find out that he's actually Rose's father, and he's someone who's always like, you'll owe me a favor later, which I love that. It's like a Rumpelstiltskin kind of, deal with the devil kind of thing, like that I'm about. But he comes to defend her in the courtroom, blah, 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 whatever, and they're like, okay, yeah, we have enough here. We're going to take Rose to trial because she's going to be on trial for murdering Queen Tatiana. All of that was happening. Like, then we find that out while Dimitri and Rose are having a whole conversation, because earlier in the book we find out like Rose she did want to be with Dimitri, but he was like, well, love fades. And then I'm pretty sure we heard the words love fades like 16 times. I get it. I understand. He said love fades. And then Rose is like in her head, like, I mean, I always thought he would still come back to me, and he would still find me, and he would still be with me, and we would figure it out, and we could be together. But it's like, we just can't be together because now his love for me is faded, and he no longer has love for me, even though I still have the love for him, and blah, blah, blah. Choke. Listen, I like romance, but I feel like this series is getting a little too heavy for my taste on the romance. Like, I don't mind romance. Some of my favorite books have romance, but I just need it to be not this much of a focus. This is like starting to become 70% angsty romance versus, I mean, maybe I could do 60-40, I don't know. But I will say, Christian and Lissa, I think, break up at the end of book 4, or maybe the beginning of this book, and they're like not together, and they keep having all these scenes of like, well, we can't be together, blah, blah, blah. But then Christian is the one who helps Lissa understand how to get the spirit inside of the stake to kill the Strigoi. So that I enjoyed, and they're back together by the end of the book. Also enjoying that. Dimitri telling Rose that his love is faded, has her just go right back to Adrian to be like, it's okay, Adrian, I'm sorry that I completely forgot to go to the party with you. I still love you, I still want to be with you, but if I mess up, just break up with me again. Like, yeah, and I mean, Rose's head is just like Dimitri. Like, she has literally, in all the book, this whole book, I feel like when she's not talking or thinking about Dimitri, I'm like, but you are thinking about Dimitri. And we're gonna be reminded about it in 2 seconds. Like, if it's not, it's like almost every other page that she's like, but Dimitri. And I was thinking about Dimitri, and then I remember Dimitri. She's a little boy crazy, which is fine. It's fine. Right. So I'm happy Christian and Lissa got back together. The bond with Rose and Lissa is still going strong, even though they're, again, kind of separated throughout most of this book. but I do see why this could be some people's favorite in the series, because this is where Sydney's in New Orleans because she somehow was getting information about the hacking into Lissa's dad's. Oh, hello. Okay, so now so after the whole trial with Rose and Abe and all that, and they decide we're going to go to trial, Rose gets this letter that's like, Lissa is not the last Dragomir. She's not the last one. So there might be another Dragomir out there, and apparently if she can find another Dragomir, then they can join the council, and then Lissa can have more weight, and then maybe they can change the council's decision about having people graduate at 16. So, you know, plot-wise, we're doing great here. Character-wise, we're doing great here. Still don't like the writing. I definitely don't like that it's becoming so obsessively romantic in the sense of like they just think each other's hot. I don't really understand the chemistry. I don't really understand the emotional connection. I don't really understand anything beyond a physical connection with Dimitri and Rose and her being like, oh my God, when he sucked my blood, I was so turned on. Or, you know, and I feel like every time we see Adrian and Rose interact, it's always Adrian being like, oh my God, Rose, you're so hot. Like, I just see you all the time, and I just like fantasize about you all the time. And like, we love that. Like, I love that, but we also need to add some depth, in my opinion. Like, in my opinion, in a romance, like, I don't mind physical attraction, but like, we need more than just, oh my God, I always fantasize about you. Like, sure, I have a great ass, but like, what about your hobbies? What do you like to do? What are your political opinions? Like, I just need a little bit more. You know, I just need a little bit more. I just need a little bit more than just, that's a great ass. Like, I just, you know, or just, oh, he was so godlike when he was that warrior and he was killing all those Strigoi. It was just like, sure. But like, is he a Republican? Is he gonna vote for Trump? Like, is he gonna feed the homeless people with you? Like, what? Or is he gonna be like, those homeless people need to get a job. They're terrible. Like, I don't feel like it's that complicated. Maybe because this is for, I don't understand why it's so hard to write. It's probably not hard. There probably has tons of fantastic romances out there, and I'm just reading this young adult series, which is very easy, and I'm enjoying the plot twists and the character arcs a little bit. But Rose as a character is starting to kind of grate on my nerves a little bit because she's just so obsessed with Dimitri. I'm not loving that aspect, but I actually really like Lissa as a character a lot, and I really like Christian. Like, by this point in the book, I'm like, every time that Christian says something and Rose and Christian agree on it, I'm like, okay, I'm not that I'm saying like they have chemistry or anything. I'm just saying like, I feel like we should get more scenes with Christian, because I think it was book 2 or 3 when Christian and Rose had to be paired up together. I don't want them together. Okay, don't misunderstand. I don't want them together. I just feel like they have a really good dynamic that I wish Miss Mead had explored a little bit more, because especially in book 3, it just went so well together. Like, I feel like, because one of my favorite things is when characters assume things about each other, and Rose is always like, Christian is just like, so he's just into Lissa, blah, blah, blah. Like, he just had, like, I don't really remember the wording or whatever, but it just seemed like she had a certain opinion about Christian, and that, you know, but it's like she understands that he's misunderstood because like his parents they chose to become Strigoi. So like, obviously, like, you know, what is that term? I'm pretty sure that Cassandra Clare talks about it. It's like the shadows from cast long shadows. That was a short story. Like, the sins of the father cast long shadows and stuff, and it's like, but what your father did has nothing to do with you and all that. So we have kind of that explored here with Christian, and like what his parents decided to do in the past, and like how people have assumptions about him, but Rose doesn't have assumptions about him. So I enjoyed that. I enjoy like the way Rose thinks about Christian, and I enjoyed the way they interact. Like, there was a couple times, I can't think of specific examples, but it was like whenever Christian and they were talking about like, maybe after Victor got out of prison or something. Also, we don't know where Victor is by the end of this book. Do we know where Victor went by the end of this book? I could be missing it. I don't know. Really hated the Dimitri Rose dynamic in here. Again, I feel like Rose and Lissa are always separated. And I do enjoy that, but I also don't. Like, I wish like they were separated for like the first half of the book, and then they got back together, and they would like, because like the first 3 books, they're together most of the first 3 books. And I feel like Mia and Eddie, like the whole, like the crew, like I love like a good crew. I don't really feel like these books give me good crew vibes. Like, they're just, I'm enjoying them. I'm giving all of them 4 stars. So, but that plot twist with Tatiana being murdered and Rose getting framed for it is, yeah, very, very intriguing. So, you know, I still have my complaints. I still have my issues with it, but you know, I don't know if I would ever want to reread this series. Like, I don't feel like it gives me, like, what I love about fantasy is like escapism. And I feel like that's not what these books are doing for me. I get why the girlies love them, but for me, you know, I'm just kind of enjoying the ride. I'm just enjoying the ride for now, and I'm having a good time, and I will always like enjoy these books for providing that entertainment level and stuff. But I just don't know, I'm gonna read the next book instantly, as you'll see my thoughts on it in the next few clips and all that. But they're just, they're not sitting highly in my feelings, but they're just, I don't want to say they're not like popcorn reads. I mean, like, I don't really feel like we're getting like deep, insightful literature. I feel like I understand why these books are popular, but especially like because there's sex in the books, and I feel like reading these when you're younger and it's like taboo, like I can get it, but like I'm a 30-year-old gay man, so like this straight sex don't do it for me. It just doesn't do anything for me in that aspect. And I was just like, I'm not trying to like, I'm just, I can enjoy it and also have critiques of it. That's the long and short of it. So this is a long ass update, but it's because literally I read, I think, almost half the entire book, and I cannot believe one day. But man, I really have been trying to like take every opportunity to listen when I possibly can. So clearly I made that work. I'm shocked. Okay, well, I will see you after I get a little bit into book 6. Bye. Hello, welcome back to the same video you've been watching this whole time. It's so weird. It's so weird that like I go out and live life and come back here. To me, it's not weird that I do it. It's weird that like it's just odd. Just, video editing is so magical. Anyways, so I'm about 25% into it, and so far we've had Rose busted out of jail. We still don't know who actually killed Tatiana. We had Rose be like summoned into a dream with Victor and Robert is the one who told them that they could turn Dimitri back into a regular person. I'm not really taking notes. I haven't been as much on X. Like, I just like haven't really thought about it. And like, again, we have Rose and Lissa separated. Just all the time. I think I'm starting to realize that I enjoyed the first 3 books of the series more than the back half of the series, because the first 3 books were actually in like the academy setting, and I enjoyed kind of seeing Rose have dynamics with a bunch of different people, versus this like Rose and Lissa separated situation is kind of just, it's just not my favorite. I don't know. There's lots of scenes as there continues to be with Dimitri and Rose being very, will they, won't they, which like normally I'm so into a will they, won't they, but it's just so obvious that they're gonna be together because of the way Rose's head is always like, and then maybe I was turned on when he got angry, or maybe I was turned on when he did this, and then he threw me up against the wall, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, those are all things that I would also like to have in someone else. Like, that sounds great. But again, I'm still over here like, sure, he looks great, but I don't sense this chemistry on this level. Like, there was so much amazing, as you probably saw in my first 2 videos about the series, like, I just feel like Rose had such more flirty, witty banter with Mason, and Mason was just so, he was such a cinnamon roll, and like, obviously I love Mason, like, and we get Mason in the first 3 books, so I feel like that's also a big factor in my declining enjoyment. So I do still like Rose as a character, and I like Dimitri as a character. Them together, I wouldn't mind them being together. Like, I could be sold on them being together if it was written different. Like, if it was not so focused on all just physical aspects. And, the situation with her father is interesting. The situation with Tatiana is very interesting. Like, the murder mysteries, like, the plots of the books have all been interesting. It's like, but my enjoyment of the characters has declined. So, like, I'm enjoying the plot, especially the ending of book 5. Like, book 5 was so much plot. It was just so much plot. And I read it in 2 days, which I don't know the last time I've done that, to be honest. But it doesn't mean that I, like, loved it. So, and I'm starting to feel like I've been here forever and I want to stop being held hostage in a little bit, but I'm trying to like slowly read it and still try to enjoy it, because I don't want to like, but I have already decided that I am not going to read Bloodlines. Sydney is a character who intrigues me. Like right now, at the point where I'm at, like we've gotten to where Sydney and Dimitri have like kind of paired up and they've teamed up to meet. They're having Rose go to West Virginia to keep her away while Lissa and Adrian are trying to work to figure out who actually killed Queen Tatiana. And the way that they busted Rose out of the jail, and the way that Lissa like blocked Rose's mind, like so that she would have no idea that was going on, that I liked. And then they blew up like the statues and stuff, like that was pretty dope, and like the antics with like Rose and her father are interesting. Again, like I preferred Rose and her mother. Like I preferred reading about Rose and her mom which is mostly about books 1 through 3. And like, I enjoy the, again, like we have so little of the elemental magic. I said it, I think probably said it so many times, but I like spirit, but I want more of the other magic. And I want more, like book 4 having that scene with Sydney talking about like the history of the Moroi, like that I would have enjoyed a lot more too. So while I'm having an okay time. I don't know if maybe the book will re-grip me as a reader. I hope so, because I'm starting to get to a point where I really just want to finish this series, because there's so many other series that I want to read. Like, you're literally sitting on a stack of so many other series that I'm trying to read. And all of these were in that video about series to complete by the end of the year, so, and they're just taunting me. They're just sitting here waiting to be read. I'm just staring at them, but it's like, nope, but you have to finish Vampire Academy first. And, you know, some people, I know there's lots of people who are fans of the series, and you're probably watching this with expecting me to have like super amazing happy. I mean, overall, I mean, again, I don't know. Do I just wish it had been a trilogy? No, I just wish we'd stayed at school. I wish we'd stayed at school. Although, or like, I could have been interested in like Rose and Lissa's stuff when they like left the school, like before the series starts. Like, if we had started the series there and then gone up to the point where like all this stuff happens at the end of book 3, and then maybe have like one book after that, like we could have had like books 1 through 5 be about like starting off with like Rose. Like, I don't know, I'm not trying to I don't want to rewrite this whole series. I'm just saying, like, I could see how I could have enjoyed it more. I could see things that could have been done that I'm learning I would have enjoyed more. Because the Dimitri Rose thing, I feel like I said in book 3, I was like, you know, like, or maybe it was book 2, I was like, you know what, I see this is where it's going, and like I can accept it. But like, it's just giving nothing. Like, the romance is just giving nothing. Like, Lissa and Christian have really great chemistry, I think, but I don't think Rose and Adrian have really good chemistry either. Like, I just don't think that they have, like, he's 6'7" and he's a god. Like, sure, physically he's great, I get it, he's great, he has a Russian accent, sure, you can be into that, but like, who did he vote for? Like, I just, you know, like, would he be supporting, like, refugees from refugees from other countries? Like, how would he feel about, like, just, they don't have to talk about politics, but it's just, they can talk about something to have some sort of conversation with each other that would show me that you have more to, it's like almost like the series is becoming more and more shallow, because it's like every time that she talks about him, it's just so focused on the physical aspects of Dimitri. And yeah, but again, we have her father, the antics with her father. I can't really, you know, and Victor Dashkov pulling her into a dream, like, and a lot of the Bond stuff with Lissa and the sound effects in the audiobook, like, I'm still really enjoying all of that. So it's like, I think the first 2 books I enjoyed the characters more, but the plot less. And I feel like maybe, again, I'm also, as many of us are, as we read, I'm learning maybe I'm more of a character-driven reader than I thought. And I'm not really enjoying the development of Rose as a character. I feel like we're getting no development of Lissa as a character, because we never see her. We only see her through Rose's eyes, and that's fine, but it's just not, I don't know, it just doesn't feel as authentic of a way that we could be learning about Lissa. I'm being so negative, I'm sorry. But possibly, maybe after I get into this and we get a little farther into it, maybe my opinions will change. Maybe I'll enjoy it more as it goes on, but like, I am starting to just be so ready for this to be over, because the first 3 books were much better. I'm not sure how, I'm pretty sure that's unpopular based off the ratings alone, you know. And usually by the time you get to the 6th book in the series, like, it's usually because you've been enjoying the series. And I have been enjoying the series. I have. Haven't I? I have. Well, that's gonna be the end of this update, so I'll see you in the next one. I don't know if you can tell, but my hair is so messy and my beard is so long. I need to trim my nails. Like, I just feel like I'm unhinged in a way. But let me just tell you, I got to 65% of this book. I think my last update was at 25%. And I feel like a lot of things are happening, but also nothing is happening at the same time. Which is kind of how I feel about books 4 and 5 too. Like, I feel like a lot happened, but also nothing happened. Which I think what it is that it's just all plot and so little character development. Like, I feel like it would be better if it had plot happening and character development happening. Do I know how to explain how to do better character development? No, I just know that this doesn't really say. The only thing that we're really getting as far as character development is like Lissa taking these trials because all of her friends, similar to how they conspired to get Rose out of prison, they conspired to get Lissa nominated to be the next queen after Tatiana was murdered. And Lissa has to take this test and she has to drink from this cup. And to drink from the cup, she has to like face all of her fears. And then the lady was like, you just tell the thing to stop when you want it to stop. And she never told to stop. So she won the test because like she faced her fears. Yay. So like that was like a little bit of character development into Lissa. But again, like this whole like Rose and Lissa being separated. The dreams with Adrian and Rose, like they're fine. I enjoy them. Sonia, who's the girl who I think Robert was in love with in the past, right? So Rose and Dimitri and Sydney. Sydney, I like Sydney as a character a lot. I get why she's kind of like the one to follow for the sequel series and stuff because she seems like she would have lots of interesting plots that happened around her. But yeah, and we did have a scene with Lissa doing some magic and stuff, and it was like kind of, she was talking about how the chalice that she had to drink from was like infused with like all of the other elements and stuff, so at least that was something. But I'm just kind of bored at this point. Like I just want it to be over. I just want it to be over because it's not that it's not good. Well, it's just that there's just so many other series I want to read. Right. Oh, and then we found out that Jill is the actual last Dragomir because her mother had an affair with Lissa's dad like decades and decades ago. So Jill is the child. She's not, so Lissa's not the last Dragomir. Jill is now the youngest one. So she's gonna go to the court because Jill's mom, Emily, is convinced that the court are the evil people and they're the ones who framed Rose for murder, which like, I don't know who framed Rose, but probably someone in the court, I guess. Probably another royal family who wanted to win the throne, I would guess. But yeah, still not really sure why they call it Last Sacrifice. Like, what's that about? Like, why is that the title? In the last title, I don't really get either. Honestly, all the titles I don't really understand. Like, I'm trying to think, why did we call book 2 Frostbite? Did they go somewhere cold? I guess. And then book 3 was... What the hell was the name of book 3? Shadowkiss. See, like, the first 3 titles, I can remember why they're called that. Blood Promise. No one really makes a promise with their blood in book 4. And then in book 5, Spirit Bound. Was book 5 when we find out that there's other people who are spirit bound? Maybe, I guess. But... Oh, and there was this guy from like the little country area who was like, oh my gosh, Rose, I want you to marry me. But they apparently have this custom that if you want to marry someone, then the closest living relative has to fight the other closest living relative or something. It's like a horde of vampires, but they're not. Some of them are like, it's like Moroi and human are together, which is like so disgusting, apparently. But like, even though Dampiers are half human, half Moroi, right? So it's like just odd. So yeah, I have what, 35%? Yeah, 35% left. So I should finish it today. I'm gonna go take a nap and then hopefully a short nap. But I feel really tired. I feel so tired. But I'm gonna hopefully nap for like maybe 2 or 3 hours, honestly, and then wake up, keep working on my puzzle. I'm doing a puzzle on the iPad. And then update you once I'm finished with the book. And then edit this probably 4-hour long vlog. Cool. I have officially finished this book and this series. And my head is empty because I feel like, I don't know. Based off the rating, this is like the highest rated one in the series, but I feel like this was actually probably my least favorite in the series. I definitely read the second one the fastest, but I think I was at what, 50 something percent last time I updated you? And in that time, Lissa has become the queen, which we love that for her. We figure out Jill is her relative. Love that for her. We figure out Tasha Ozera, aka Christian's aunt, was actually the one who murdered Queen Tatiana, which that was quite shocking. Oh, and then she shot Rose. And then the bond between Lissa and Rose is now gone. And then Adrian and Rose had a whole conversation in which they broke up, and it was pretty dramatic, but it was actually probably, I don't think it wasn't my favorite part of the book, but it was like, was it my favorite part of the book? No, probably not. But just that whole conversation with Adrian, and yeah, I'm not really sure what we left Sydney here, because I know she's starring in the spin-off series and all that, but I think I've also already said earlier, I'm not going to continue. I have 900 other books to read and none of them are going to be Bloodlines. I'm not sure. I mean, if you're really into plot and romance, this is going to be a series for you. But for me, I already said, I think in my last clip, I was like, I just need more character development. But see, the thing is that with Adrian and Rose having that argument, that was character development. And I feel like the back half of the series, 4 through 6, gets so little time with Lissa, even though it's interesting writing style wise to have Lissa and Rose be in separate places. Sure, I mentioned that before, and while I still feel like, yeah, it's interesting, it doesn't give us a lot of development for Lissa as a character. Obviously, I do like Lissa as a character. I am glad she became the queen by the end. And Jill seems cute and fun enough, but I don't know. I just kind of missed the dynamics of being at the school and hanging out with your friends and like having like a Scooby Gang kind of feel. Like that was definitely more present in 1 through 3. And I feel like books 4 through 6, we really, really dug into the romance, especially book 4 with all the stuff with Rose and her being like, I was empty without him. I'm sure I've complained about it already. I think I've given every book a 4-star, but honestly, like compared to some other fantasy stories I've read, I'm not sure it really deserves a 4-star. I feel like for what it is, that's why I'm giving it a 4-star. And this was a satisfying conclusion. I feel like I'm happy where we've left all the characters that I care about. You know, Rose and Dimitri, they're together, they're happy. Love that for them. You know, and Rose has both of her parents, which is a nice little bow tied onto it. Adrian not being with someone is actually something I enjoy because it's like when the series ends, like not everyone is paired up. Almost everyone is paired up except for Adrian. So I enjoy that, but I think I only read this in like 4 days, but it was kind of a chore to get through. I'm sorry. It was like I finished 1 through 3. I loved 3. I was like, I really want to finish the series because I want to continue it because I was enjoying 1 through 3 so much. And then 4, I struggled through it a little bit. By the end, 5, I read through it so fast. I still cannot believe I read it in 2 days. And then this, and then Rose, I don't know if I mentioned Rose killed Victor Dashkov, which she felt all guilty about, and then Dimitri's like, but you shouldn't feel guilty, and she's like, okay, well, you stop feeling guilty, then I'll stop feeling guilty. Like, I think that Rose and Dimitri, again, I said it before, like, they could be a good couple, but there's just not enough in the text to really dive into why they like each other besides the physical aspects. Not that it's like, I mean, I guess it kind of feels insta-lovey, but I don't know. I feel like it was more developed in books 1 through 3 for some reason, even though the 4 through 6 are bigger books. And again, we just got so little elemental magic. It was so focused on the romance. Like, I don't mind a romance, but I feel like this was just too much romance for my taste. And it was also way too heterosexual way too heterosexual. So many straight people being, there's nothing wrong with being straight. It's just, so yeah, I'm definitely not going to read the spin-off series. But I am glad that I read it, and I will probably keep it on my shelves for a little bit, but I don't think I will ever reread the series. But, I have all of my thoughts chronicled on it, so now it's time to edit this behemoth of video. I'm sure it's going to be long. I feel like this is the longest book in the series. I gave you the least updates on it because it was like Rose gets released from prison, then she goes on a road trip, she goes to West Virginia, that one guy almost like falls in love with her, whatever, wants to marry her, but like what was the point of that? Did that really develop anything for us? Not really. We didn't really start getting plot development until like the last third or less of the book. So it's like when we finally figure out how did she know it was Tasha? Like what was that in the book and I just missed it? Maybe I just missed it. But was there anything leading up to like giving us clues out to why it was Tasha? Then we had the reveal about, Jill, which was fine, and then we killed Victor and that was fine. But it's just giving kind of 3-star vibes for this finale, even though it was a satisfying conclusion. So on that note, now that I have trashed the girlies' favorite, I cannot believe I need to start editing. So this will be my final update for this series. Let me know your thoughts on it. Let me know what you like about it. And maybe series that you think focus more on elemental magic. Clearly that's something that I was hoping for. Yeah. Oh, and I do like that Christian is going to be guarded by Dimitri. So Dimitri and Rose is guarding Lissa, and then Dimitri's going to get to guard Christian. So like they'll get to basically just always be double dating all the time. So that's nice. But, okay, I think I've said everything I want to say. So yeah, this will be my final clip. So if you have, so I will leave my Instagram, Goodreads, Twitter. It will all be in the description for you to check out. Otherwise, have a great day. Bye.